Hello viewers, this is Dr. K.S.Neharkar, Assistant Professor Sri Shivaji Law College, Parvani. I welcome you in my YouTube channel at lecture series on labor laws first. Friends, in this lecture we are going to discuss the principles of domestic inquiry. These principles of domestic inquiry are necessary for or to ensure fairness in inquiry and punishment to the workman who has committed the misconduct. So friends, the domestic inquiry ensures the fairness of inquiry and punishment awarded to workmen. Basically, the purpose of this inquiry is to preserve and maintain inter-industrial peace so that the production of industry shall not be hampered or it shall not be stopped. Therefore, this inquiry must be held in case of all type of workers, whether these workers are temporary workers or permanent workers or the probationers also. The employer, while awarding the punishment to workman who has conducted or who has committed misconduct, shall not cause any injustice through arbitrary punishment. This is the inquiry, or this is the principle of inquiry which is evolved by judiciary, because till the evolution of such principles there was no legislation or there is no statute which deals with domestic inquiry to be conducted by employer to punish the workman for the accusation of misconduct. Therefore, these principles are evolved by judiciary. Now we are going to discuss what is the concept of domestic inquiry. Friends, to understand this concept, firstly we must understand these two words. Domestic means the in-house or the inquiry which is conducted within industry, and the inquiry means the inquiry relating to misconduct. Therefore, it is the inquiry of employee by employer about his misconduct. It is internal or household inquiry of misconduct committed by workman. Therefore, this inquiry is called as domestic inquiry. So, in short, we can explain inquiry as domestic inquiry as inquiry held within industry to ensure into misconduct and punish the workman through fair process. तर मित्रांनो, डोमेस्टिक इन्क्वायरी हे दुसरं तिसरं काही नसून इंडस्ट्रीच्या मालकानं कामगाराच्या जे कोणते चुका झालेल्या आहेत किंवा कामगारानं जे कोणते चुकीचे कृत्य केलेले आहेत त्याची चौकशी करून त्याला पनिशमेंट देण्यासाठी जे अवलंबलेली प्रोसेस आहे त्याला डोमेस्टिक इन्क्वायरी असं म्हटलं जातं. सो नाऊ वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस विच आर प्रिन्सिपल्स ऑफ डोमेस्टिक इन्क्वायरी. सो actually there is no specific law describing what shall be the principles of domestic inquiry or what are those principles that must be followed to conduct domestic inquiry. As you know, basically the object of principles of domestic inquiry is to ensure fairness in inquiry as well as fairness in award of punishment, and to ensure that what the punishment that is awarded to workman that should be in proportion to what the misconduct committed by him. Therefore, for all this process there are certain rules or there are certain principles that must be followed, and these principles are called as principles of domestic inquiry. So it is actually responsibility of employer and inquiry officer to see that there should not be injustice with workman. There should be justice. Even by award of punishment, that punishment should be justiciable, there should be the justification for the punishment which is awarded to workman. Therefore, it is responsibility. The process of domestic inquiry itself involves principles of domestic inquiry. So, what the process that should be followed for the inquiry itself is the basic principle of inquiry. So, the domestic inquiry must be conducted with rules of natural justice and without arbitrariness. So, the arbitrariness may cause injustice to workmen. So, there should not be arbitrariness. There should be the rule of law and not the arbitrariness. So, the fairness should be there. So, let me discuss some of these principles that are called as the principles of domestic inquiry. Now we are going to discuss all these principles one by one. The first principle that we are going to discuss is the rules of natural justice must be followed for the conduct of domestic inquiry. See, there are some essentials of rules of natural justice, and we must see which are these essentials of natural. The principle of natural justice itself has some basic essentials or features, and that must be followed by the employer even or while the conduct of principles of domestic inquiry. The first essential of natural rule of natural justice is nemo judex in causa sua. It means, this is the Latin phrase, and it means one cannot be judged in his own cause, which is also known as rule against bias. See friends, here the employer is going to conduct the inquiry of the employee or the workman about his misconduct. So therefore, the rules of natural justice requires that the person who is going to inquire into the matter must be impartial. He shall not be biased person. There may be the personal bias, there may be the official bias, or there may be the bias in subject matter. These are the different things. So the person who is going to be inquire, or the person who is going to be appointed as an inquiry officer, shall not be the person who is connected with either employer or employee. He must be impartial. So this is first principle of rule of natural justice that must be followed. Second rule of, or second essential of rule of natural justice is audi alteram partem, which means here the other side or party or an opportunity of fair hearing must be given before passing any award. See, this is basic rule of natural justice. When any authority is going to take decision against any party, it is responsibility of that authority to hear that party. So here the punishment is going to be given to workman. So punishment shall not be given to workman unless an opportunity shall be given to such workman to prove his innocence. So this is second principle. There is case law regarding that. In Ghadge Patil Transport Private Limited versus B.K. Patel and others. In this case, the Bombay High Court explained the importance of rules of natural justice in conduct of domestic inquiry, and the court held that it is one of the basic principles of natural justice that inquiry should be fair and impartial. So this is the first principle that must be followed. Second principle is a right to just hearing. So here it is responsibility of inquiry officer to provide all the opportunity of hearing to workman, by which that workman can give all the evidences, he can give all the witnesses, by which he can prove himself as an innocent person. Then next principle is a right to fair information about misconduct and punishment. See, it is also another principle that must be followed. The workman who is alleged of any misconduct must be given proper information about what is his act, how it becomes misconduct, and what is the maximum punishment which is given to him. So this all information should be given to workman in advance before the domestic inquiry commences against him. Then next principle is right to defend. See, this is basic right, and this right should be given to workman. This opportunity should be given to workmen. Unless and until that person is given an opportunity to defend him, there is not possibility of fairness in proceeding or the fairness of decision making. So the opportunity shall be given to workman to defend himself against what the allegation, against the charges of misconduct. Then next principle is right to submit witnesses and evidences. So this principle is subsidiary to what the principle which is explained earlier, and according to this principle, where that workman wants to prove himself an innocent person, in support to his innocency, he is required to submit the witnesses and evidences. So he should be allowed to submit witnesses and evidences which will help him to prove his innocence. Next principle is right to cross examination. This is also important principle of principles of domestic inquiry. See, both parties are going to submit the witnesses, evidences and documents. Here the inquiry is about the commission of misconduct by workman and punishment to be awarded to him. Here the workman should be given an opportunity to cross-examine all the witnesses and evidences submitted by employer in support of his case against employee or the workman. So the cross-examination is necessary to verify the truthfulness of witnesses as well as the evidences that are submitted. So to cross-examine the witnesses, to check the credibility, should be given to employee. This is a basic right of employee. So friends, these are very important principles that must be followed for the conduct of domestic inquiry. Friends, these principles ensures the fairness of inquiry, as well as these principles helps both parties to get the justice. So if you like my video, please like it and share it. If you like my channel, please subscribe. So don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you friends. Thank you.